Most business owners do not have an effort problem. They have a focus problem. They spend time changing software, rebuilding websites, adjusting prices, holding meetings, and fixing small problems. Everyone stays busy, but the outcome does not change because they are improving everything except for the one thing that's holding the business back. In this episode, I'm going to show you how to identify the real constraint in your business, stop wasting time on the improvements that don't affect the outcome, and focus your attention where it can produce growth. I've spent more than 25 years working in and around growing businesses. I've helped businesses attract customers, build teams, improve their processes, and expand into new markets. One thing that I've seen over and over is that the more activity you do does not always create more results. We're going to start with a simple chain, and then I'm going to break down two constraints I see in small businesses all the time. Not enough leads, and an owner who has to approve everything. By the end of this episode, you should be able to look at your own business, find the point that is limiting your growth, and decide what deserves your time, money, and attention. Hello and welcome to the Kanawha Valley Hustlers. This is Joe Justice, and let's talk constraints. In his book, The Goal, Elihu Goldratt wrote that an hour saved at the non-bottleneck is a mirage. Now, I usually summarize that as any changes made outside of the constraint is an illusion. Let me show you what I mean by that. So let's take a look at any business. The first thing that you've got to do with any business is get attention, right? So once you get attention, then you need to make sure that all of that attention is turned into sales. So you've got a sales force that's going to make money off of that. And then you've got people that are going to fulfill those roles, and then you're going to have some reoccurring revenue, right? This is the way any business works. And along this line of business, if you're going to be successful, you're going to have chains that connect each one of these. So these are going to be chains that go from attention to sales, from sales to fulfillment, and then from fulfillment, it's going to go over here into reoccurring revenue, whether that's directly selling more things to the same people or some kind of a referral-based system. You want to turn that fulfillment into more money. Now, at any point, if you look at this, if there's any point in here where you have a weak chain, so let's imagine this chain right here is your weakest chain. That means that you could spend all kinds of time right here and effort, and you hire more people in the fulfillment stage, and you spend all kinds of time on promotions and referral systems. Or maybe you spend all of your time right here where you're improving your processes and you're making everything work better. Well, the problem is none of that makes it this way, because once it gets to this point, it stops. Once you get here, your business is done. You can make all of the improvements here that you want. This is your constraint. No matter what you do here, you're never going to get more business. At the same time, you can take everything that you're doing over here. You can spend more money on attention, more advertising, get all kinds of leads to come in the door, and hire more sales reps. And your sales reps are going to go and they're going to knock on doors, they're going to make cold calls, and they're going to get all kinds of great money is going to be coming in the door here. But you've got this constraint right here. So all this stuff is going to pile up. All this stuff, all of this. This is an illusion. This is an illusion. You're not growing your business. All this time that you're spending on this is wasted effort. Hey, so real quick, if you're looking to get more attention, video is the best way to do that, especially in 2026 when everybody's already scrolling and looking on social media. It's a great way to get attention on what it is that you do and help solve problems. If you want to learn a little bit more about that, just give me a call, send me a text at 304-853-5522. I'll take a look at what you're currently doing, what it might take to get to that next level, and see if we can help you reach, captivate, and grow. So let's take a look at how this actually works out in the real world. With what's super common with businesses is they don't get enough leads. It's a really common problem people talk to me about all the time. So the leads is the problem. They're not getting enough attention. So they've got their sales team, they've got their fulfillment, and maybe they've even got a reoccurring revenue model. That's a big problem for a lot of people. They don't have a reoccurring revenue model. But let's imagine here that they've got everything in place here. People that work with them, their sales reps, it flies off the shelf. They love it. They get all kinds of business through that. And then their fulfillment, they spend a lot of time working with their team, making sure all their team is certified. All their team has, all kinds of training. They have meeting after meeting after meeting, and they take care of their team. And they've got some kind of a recurring revenue model. Maybe they've got a loyalty program, or maybe they've put together some kind of a program that's built around referral programs or some other form of recurring revenue. Maybe they've got an upselling program. So they spend all of their time on these services, meeting after meeting, sales training, all this kind of stuff. But they're not spending any money at all or any effort on lead generation. No money on attention. That means all this stuff. And you see businesses like this that are frustrated all the time because they've got all these people, they've got all this experience, they've got everything going on right here, but they're not getting the attention. And if they're not getting the attention, they're not going to generate any revenue. It doesn't matter what's going on right here. This constraint has to be solved. You have to spend the money. You've heard it takes money to make money, and that's why they say that. It's because this has to be solved. This isn't magic. You're not going to present, hey, we've got the best trained employees. We've got the best service. We've got the lowest cost. We've got all this kind of stuff. If nobody's learning about it because you're not getting any attention, then you're going to get nowhere. Now let's take a look at another very common issue that people have. Let's say the owner, the boss, has to approve everything. So what happens when you've got a bunch of employees and you've got the business owner, and usually this is an ego problem. Ego's your worst enemy in business. You got the business owner, the big boss man. All of these people have to run all of their ideas by him. Before anything goes out the door, the boss man needs to be approved. So you've got all of these people that can do all of this stuff. This right here, this is your constraint. You will never scale past one person. How do you solve this? The solution's actually pretty easy. Instead of having one person in place, we're going to get rid of him and we're going to develop a series of SOPs. What's an SOP? SOP is a standard operating procedure. So your boss man is going to create this series of SOPs. And then your employees are going to go through the SOPs rather than going through that. So you've got this whole series that's going to get around this constraint right here, and that's going to actually get things done. I think I spelled fulfillment right. I'm not really sure. I'm dyslexic. So you get all of these people getting a direct line to fulfillment. Now, the first thing when it comes to addressing the complaint is the boss man here is going to say, I'm too busy with all of these people. I'm too busy to go through. I can't create SOPs. It takes too much time. I'm too busy. Well, that's your constraint. It doesn't matter how many more employees you add. It doesn't matter how much more leads you get. It doesn't matter the rest of your business model until you take the time to build standard operating procedures that can get you out of that decision-making role. Your business will never scale. It's impossible to scale. And then after you solve some of these constraints, you get to graduate to a whole new series of constraints, because there's always going to be constraints in your business. You're always going to need to make adjustments. Once you solve one problem, you're going to have a whole new series of problems, but it's important to focus on where are people waiting? Where's everything breaking down? Where's it slowing down? And once you can solve that, then at that point, you can begin to scale your business and reach new levels of success with new levels of constraints and all kinds of new problems. But you've got to solve these problems first, and you've got to identify the constraint in order to do that. So here's your opportunity to focus on where your constraints are solve those, and grow your business. I hope you found this helpful today. Remember, this is Joe Justice, the Kanawha Valley Hustler, reminding you to hustle hard, hustle smart, and hustle with a smile.